Hey guys, welcome back. Today I got Lemon. This is day one of her boarding and retraining. She's just here for boarding, but she's getting retrained. Before we start, I want to kind of say the reason that dogs need retraining or a touch-up sometimes is I have found because of one of two things. The first thing is that the tone of disapproval is not being used often enough, or she doesn't honor it. And number two is that the motivation from day to day in her life is not there, and therefore she has no want to be obedient because the motivation is so few and far between that she would rather just kind of work for herself or do what she can, and hopefully not too much pressure comes upon her, like a tone of disapproval or a leash check or something like that. So you have to have at least one of the two, if not both of them. You need the motivation to build the bandwidth and to build the drive and to build the want to work for the dog. And two, you have to use a tone of disapproval, which is or no, and then a corrective action such as a leash check. So we're going to start with motivation because she's here for the first day. Today is going to be a little bit more motivating than the rest of them because I'm trying to get her to want to work for me, to get back into the routine that we once created. So to do that, I just have a little bit of food here. Every 3 or 4 steps, she's going to get paid. Oh, she went on the other side of the post that I did not go, so she ran into correction. So that wasn't necessarily me enforcing the correction, it was the post catching her being in the wrong place. But not everybody has that. It's just a training aid that I use during training. So every 3 or 4 steps, I'm going to give her some food. If she goes around one of the posts in order that she shouldn't have, she's going to get corrected. And if I see her out of line, I will say no, and I will guide her back into place. And we're going to do this for, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes, just so that she realizes this is how we do things. And I'm going to return here and place her on the place board after our session and get her to stay for about 4 or 5 minutes, just so she can reflect on everything that we did and realize that regardless of everything, I am in control, and she should be steady right here on this place board. So just follow along, and hopefully you get something out of this. Here we go. Good. When she's in the proper position, I will say good, and then I will treat her. To be clear, that's not good as I treat her, that's good, and then I treat her. Okay? And that's definitely not treating her and then saying good or going good. It is good, and then I treat her. Hand comes back here to the resting position. Good. Sit. Good. Heel. Good. Heel. Good. Heel. Good. You can see I do want her to sit every single time that I stop. We go around the board, around the deck, around the board. She's going to want to get on this place board. When she does, I will go ahead and tell her a tone of disapproval if she does it. I don't want her on the place board unless I tell her. Good. Heel. Good. Today is day one, so I'm not going to be too concerned about her side saddling a little bit. Perfect would be here. That's why I use these posts sometimes. I'll sit her right next to a post so she can't swing out. It's a little trick, just for formatting purposes. She didn't sit right here, but she still gets food, okay? So days 2, 3, 4, and 5 are gonna be a little harder as we continue to progress, but I just need to find a bond and a little bit of condition here, a little something that she's used to, okay? So nothing too difficult at the moment. No food there. Show her the hand, tap the hip. If she's sniffing the floor too much, I will correct her up off the floor. Sit. I don't want her sniffing the floor 24/7, you know? So keep that in mind, guys. I don't want her sniffing the floor 24/7. Little correction up off the floor. Good. With certain dogs, it makes more sense. Like with beagles or one of my Doberman, he has a real strong nose. I am forever picking his head up off the floor. She's a pincher, so she's naturally going to have a prey drive, and so therefore she's going to use that nose. But she doesn't use it too much. But if we get into a spot where she thinks she continues to find food on the floor, pick her head up off the floor. Good. Usually I try to match pressure with praise. If I get into pressure, good. I get right back into praise. Even if I don't feed, once that pressure releases and she's done receiving pressure for bad behavior, incorrect behavior, then I need to go right back into that praise, because we want to stay in praise. We want to stay in a neutral space, but a positive space for sure. So as soon as we get out of that pressure, I'm trying to get back into that praise or that reward, because I need her to want to work for me. And I'm just going to reiterate it again. If we have a dog that needs retraining, it's probably one of two reasons. No tone of disapproval, no corrective action after the disapproval. That's on one side of the coin. On the other side, we're not using motivation enough in our daily routines, or we're not building the bandwidth between these rewards. So using too much rewards for trivial tasks, or not using the rewards systematically to gain additional bandwidth or additional challenge and patience from our dog. So it's not just about the correction, it's not just about the motivation, it's how and when and the timing that we use it, and the communicative words that we use around those motivations and corrections, okay? If you're not communicating or building communication with your rewards or motivating environments, then you're doing it yourself an injustice, because you got what you need, but you're not, the timing, the communication's not there. And if you're not setting expectations and you're correcting your dog for everything, and you have no reason, or the dog doesn't find the logical reasoning for you to be using the correction, because you're not using a tone of disapproval in front of it, or the scenario is just not clear to the dog, then you're going to find that the dog is confused or frustrated, or just continues that behavior well past the first 2, 3, 4, 5 corrections, and you're just going to wonder why the dog doesn't get it. It's something within the logic of how and when and the timing that you're using these corrections or tones of disapproval. So I'm going to try to lay it all out. No or sit, that'd be a little bit of corrective pressure with the tone of my voice, and then I'll say good, and then the dog gets food. So I'll just keep doing it. It's really all the same thing over and over. The fundamentals don't necessarily change. The scenarios change little by little, and as we challenge the dog more and more, we'll ask more of the dog, and so therefore some of our communication and some of our treating or motivation has to change with the timing of things, but it's all pretty much the same theory. So it just depends how we're using it and what we're trying to get out of the dog as far as what we need them to accomplish from the behavior. So make sure we got a little stay. We're going to go place, or up, and sit, and stay. All right? So what we want here is to always come back to the dog. she is not here for stay training, she's here for leash training, but I find that the steadier you can make a dog as far as stay goes, it helps with their impulse on the leash to pull, but also to go see new things that they might want to see in the environment, whether it's another dog or another person. It will get them used to suppressing the impulse to move or to act, and it's going to help us out on our leash walk when we are or we are not moving. It will help us either way. So I always come back to her, okay, and when I do the stay training, my marker word of good is going to be, when I get the furthest out, good, I'm always coming back right as I say good. And that good is a promise for reward. So I get the furthest away from the dog, good, and then I come back. And now, just watch the body language of the dog, okay? Ears are up, I'm going away, ears are rolling back, she's getting curious, should I break, should I break, should I break? Good. As soon as I said good, the ears perk up. She coughed a little bit there, so that was a bad example, but good, ears perk up, she's nice and attentive, she knows I'm coming back, there's no reason to move. Here she's unsure, she's trying to figure it out, is she distracted? I'm not really sure. Good. She says, ah yes, food is coming, I will focus. So on the way back, I'm monitoring the animal, and I'm gonna get as far away from her as I can, but if I see her failing or about to fail, then I'm gonna go ahead and call it good. And then she knows as soon as she hears that good, I'm coming back. If you want a little bit of a challenge, good, come back. You praise over the top of the head, no food, stay, good. On the second time back, you'll give food. The first time back, you give praise, which is just not necessarily a trick. It is a lesser reward for most dogs that have an appetite and have something extremely motivating. If it was a ball, it's like the dog finds the ball extremely motivating, but you come back and you say, good girl, stay, good. Then you come back, then you pop the ball, then you can throw the ball, or whatever you do for your motivation with the ball, or whatever the scenario is, however you release the dog, whatever. So she did that. I'm gonna go ahead and release her. Okay, good. And then we're gonna go right back into some leash walking here. We're just gonna weave these poles. Every other time my hand comes down, I'll have food. Pick the head up off the floor just a little bit. Little corrective. Sit. Good. Heel. Sit. Good. Heel. Sit. Sit. Little correction, little pressure. Good. Heel. Sit. Good. Heel. Sit. 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 Same thing on the way back. A little pressure. Walking towards her, a little sit. A little pressure. Sit. Good. See, the will to work for the motivation has gone down a little because she's had a lot of food. Heel. Prompt her to heel before you walk. Go to the other side of the pole. Sit. A little pressure. Let that pressure go when she sits. She's side saddling a little, not too worried. Heel. Sit. Look, if I put my shoulders towards her and bend over a little bit on her, And walk towards her just a little bit. You see how she deals with that pressure? And then she folded on the pressure. I could do the same thing with the leash. Pick it up, push her butt down. You guys saw that. Heel, sit. Shoulders, feet. Good. I lean that body pressure on top of her. She can't go anywhere. If she tries to, she's going to run into the leash, so then I got her there too. But once she understands that, she won't make me work that hard on the leash. I'll look at her, rotate the shoulders, bend at the hip a little bit, and then she sit right down. Sit. Good. Place. Up. Sit. Stay. Stay. Stay is not to get food off the floor. Heel is not to sniff the floor when I walk. So here's one way to realize she stays on the place board. No. Tone of disapproval. Good. Tone of approval. Okay. Release of okay. She clearly knows it. Good girl, good girl, good girl. Scrub her up to let her know that everything's going good. Good girl. Lemons. No. Okay. Very good. Lemons. Very good. Hopefully that helps out. You do another leash walking lesson this afternoon with her. Just try to build on what we got this morning. Hopefully that helps. We'll